Today we're going to look at a debate about recycling drink containers. Recycling is a process where things are used again instead of being thrown away. In South Australia, empty drink containers are worth 5 cents. Some people say this leads to more drink containers being recycled. They say the rest of Australia should use the same system. But the companies that make the drinks disagree. OK, let's watch today's story and learn more about the debate on container recycling.
For more than 20 years, this has been the green face of Australian waste collection. Curbside recycling is widely regarded as a suburban success story, but only a fraction of the 5 billion drink containers that Australians throw away every year get collected here.
Well, we're only seeing rates of 30–40% of recovery of recyclable materials.
And there's a lot of unwanted waste, messing up the good stuff for recycling. Now, a green coalition, including Clean Up Australia's Ian Kiernan, is pushing to shift the onus of responsibility from local councils onto the companies who produce the packaging in the first place. Container deposit legislation's been operating in South Australia for 30 years. In an effort to tackle littering, the state government put a 5-cent deposit on drink bottles as an incentive to encourage recycling. To this day, the scheme is popular, and advocates say it recovers twice as many containers as curbside recycling.
It's incredibly effective. And I quote the figure again, 88 to 90% of those containers are recycled there. We're doing 33. You know, the figures speak for themselves.
But wherever there's a statistic about waste, there's a furious debate.
Because at the moment, environment groups, industry, government pluck figures out of the air and they use figures that suit them.
The spread of a deposit system beyond South Australia's borders has been fiercely fought by the beverage industry. It's funded litter prevention awareness campaigns as a way to help stave off heavy regulation. And away from the public gaze, it's used its weight to lobby effectively under the guise of the Beverage Industry Environment Council. Ultimately, it comes down to how the public pays for recycling, whether as ratepayers or consumers.
So if we're going to be paying, let's get the best environmental outcome.
Ahead lies a battle of passions, profits and politics.
And if industry hasn't dramatically improved and got its act together, then it deserves to be regulated.
It's now a matter of just how much mess everyone makes in the process.
We saw how local councils are responsible for picking up recycling from many Australian homes. This is called curbside recycling. Curbside recycling has been very successful in Australia, but not everything that should be recycled is collected in this way. How many drink containers are collected by curbside recycling?
Only a fraction of the 5 billion drink containers that Australians throw away every year get collected here.
Only a fraction of the 5 billion drink containers thrown away every year get collected. A fraction is a very small part of something. Each year, Australians use 5 billion drink containers, but only a very small number of these get recycled. What's the South Australian government done about this?
Container deposit legislation's been operating in South Australia for 30 years. In an effort to tackle littering, the state government put a 5-cent deposit on drink bottles as an incentive to encourage recycling.
Container deposit legislation has been operating in South Australia for 30 years. Legislation is a law or set of laws. A deposit is a payment of money. Here it means a payment that is returned. Container deposit legislation is a law saying that extra money must be paid on drink containers. In South Australia, companies who make drinks have to add 5 cents to the price of their products. You pay a deposit of 5 cents on top of the price of the drink. Then you get the 5 cents back later when you recycle the container. Let's watch the clip again.
Container deposit legislation's been operating in South Australia for 30 years. In an effort to tackle littering, the state government put a 5-cent deposit on drink bottles as an incentive to encourage recycling.
In an effort to tackle or deal with littering, the government put a 5-cent deposit on drink bottles. Littering is the act of throwing rubbish on the ground. So the South Australian government tried to deal with people throwing rubbish away by putting a 5-cent deposit on drink bottles. This way people return their bottles and get their money back rather than just leaving them around as litter. They also see it as an incentive to encourage recycling. An incentive is a reason to do something. The 5-cent value of a drink container is a good reason not to throw it away. And if the containers have been thrown away, other people often collect them. A green group called Clean Up Australia thinks all the states should have this system, but the soft drink companies disagree.
But wherever there's a statistic about waste, there's a furious debate.
Because at the moment, environment groups, industry, government pluck figures out of the air and they use figures that suit them.
Wherever there's a statistic about waste, there's a furious debate. A statistic is information in numbers. For example, listen to the statistics here. Clean Up Australia says that in South Australia, 88 or 90% of soft drink containers are recycled. This is compared to 33% in other states. But not everyone believes these statistics. This causes a furious debate or big argument about container deposit legislation. Listen again.
But wherever there's a statistic about waste, there's a furious debate.
Because at the moment, environment groups, industry, government pluck figures out of the air and they use figures that suit them.
Marie works for the Beverage Industry Environment Council. This is a group that speaks for the soft drink companies. She says that environment groups, industry and government pluck figures out of the air and use figures that suit them. The figures she's talking about are numbers or statistics. And to pluck figures out of the air means to make up numbers without thinking about them. Marie obviously doesn't agree with Clean Up Australia's statistics. She thinks they've just been made up. Well, that's all for today. Remember, there's always a good incentive to visit our website. There you'll find all of today's words and phrases, as well as previous English Bites stories. English Bites is brought to you by Australia Network, and there are many other English language learning resources available at our website.